Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. As always, me and Kieran Powell. How are you, Kai?
Not too bad, Jordan. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. It's it's the ODI series is finished. It's ended in in a bit of a disaster, really. I suppose a bit of a limp end, a bit of a poor chase. What did you make of the result, really?
In all honesty, I sort of went to bed just before the game started. So I woke up and I checked the scorecard first on Crick Info before I went to watch the game live.
Right.
And I saw that Bangladesh made 296, and I didn't even scroll down to see what we were on, because if Bangladesh made 296 on those pitches, I knew it was pretty much all but over. They were consigned to defeat, unfortunately. I think that, obviously lots of people are going to say lots of things here, but this is a pandemic. It's an epidemic. It's genocide. It's something. Not this performance per se, but what has been happening in West Indies cricket for the past, let's say, 30 years or whatever the case is. Obviously, people are going to look at the manifestation of what happened today and highlight today's result. But this is something that has been, building for 30 years. And the sad truth is there's no light, at the end of the tunnel. Well, I mean, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, but we're nowhere near to the light, Systematically, I think that obviously people only look at the top end results, but what's happening at the bottom to feed those top end results, and you think about the societal impact. You don't really have kids playing cricket in primary schools or in high school as much as they used to. You don't have the senior players playing club cricket and teaching young kids how to be a good club cricketer. You don't have senior first class players playing first class cricket, teaching young players how to be a professional. You don't have guys walking into an international team with other seasoned professionals teaching them how to be a professional international cricketer. All of these are things that are needed. There's not enough cricket being played. Let's not even talk about the first class system, because we already know the frailties and shortcomings there. But you look holistically throughout the Caribbean, as I said, primary school cricket, club cricket, tape ball cricket, beach cricket. I grew up playing a lot of tape ball cricket, and that's how I learned how to play fast bowling well, in my opinion, especially short bowling, because I was playing against big men bowling tape balls on concrete pitches, shortened concrete pitches, like a 18 or 16 foot pitch or something, and bowling you a lot of bumpers. So you pull for six or duck. You don't duck. You pull or you get hit in your face. There's no ducking on that short of a pitch. How can you duck on that pitch? You don't have time to duck. And you'd be ducking forever. You pull or you get hit, and I don't like getting hit, so I pulled. I pulled for six, and these are playing cricket as much as possible in any sort of environment improves different skill sets. So obviously, I said, playing on concrete strips, playing on the beach when the waves wash up and then the waves wash back, got that wet, so that the ball slides off. Playing cricket on the grass with your friends, obviously that's going to bring in natural variation and all these things. We need more cricket to be played holistically throughout the region. We need some sort of mentorship and seniority to be there to guide young players now more so than ever. And we need obviously better pitches and coaches in positions of primary school cricket, giving guys a solid foundation
Yeah.
high school cricket, giving them solid foundation, early age representational cricket, whether it is you're playing for your island, you're playing for your region, you're playing for young West Indian teams, whatever the case is. Now more so than ever, and we need, in my opinion, partnerships or opportunities for our most talented players to go and, let's say, study and live overseas and get exposed to and used to playing in different conditions and having a different mindset and approach to cricket and professionalism. Because going to boarding school at 14 was very tough for me. Obviously, you're how many thousands of miles away from your family. You can't, it doesn't matter how hard things get, you can't get up and go home. You've got to figure it out and go the next day. She went to boarding school as well. I think that there are many places in the world that I would like to see young West Indian cricketers scattered around, whether it be the UK, certain parts of Asia, whether it be India, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
You send them to places like Australia, South Africa, so that holistically you have players that are more rounded, more developed. If you're saying that our system is broken, because in fixing our system, that will take time. And you can't fix the system and fix the players at the same time, which is why I find it interesting. For example, you send a player to India, to Chennai Super Kings Academy for 2 weeks, but then you're saying our system at home is broken, and that player still has to come back home to work with the same coaches in the same regional system that's broken. So what are those coaches going to be able to do for that player that they didn't do before that player went, that they can do now he's come back? It's the same coach. You haven't upgraded or upskilled that coach or the facilities in which that coach is operating. So West Indies continued bad performances at the top needs to be addressed at grassroots level. And you're looking at sort of a 10-year cycle. Where will West Indies cricket be in 10 years from now? That's what they have to ask themselves.
Yeah. And I think, we spoke about it a lot on here about obviously the long-term plans and the things that you can do to help that long-term plan. And, if people want to listen to you, they should do, in my opinion. But the things that you break down, the things you talk about, and the ideas you have for that future planning, which you talk about, someone in cricket, within Cricket West Indies needs to be taking, what you're saying is serious. But what I do want to, obviously, we know the long term strategy, how it could look. We know the complications that come with that, and we know the benefits of obviously getting that right, what it looks like. But from a short term perspective, you're going into obviously three T20s now against Bangladesh, and then you're going into New Zealand. The batting situation is being highlighted more than ever because, we know what happened against Australia. We know what's happened against India and obviously where we're at now. But from a
don't forget Nepal.
Well, yes. Absolutely. And it's stupid of me to miss that. But what can we do? Or what can the West Indies do, should I say, in this is there nothing that can happen short term?
It's difficult because, like anything else in life, John, you think of it, let's say you're having a bad time at work or, family or whatever the case is, and you get into a negative spiral, and then that changes your mentality, your whole mindset, and you start to think negative, and then, the environment picks up on that and negative starts happening, and you just start thinking to yourself and start becoming, why is bad always happening to me? And then something else bad happens because you're putting that out into the environment, A complete mindset shift is required. Now let's understand that Bangladesh is not the easiest place to do that sort of stuff because you're either in the hotel or you're at the cricket ground or you're at the airport. That's it.
Right.
There's no going out and just relaxing and clearing your mind. None of that's happening in Bangladesh. So it's going to have to be a situation where the team I guess, gets together. Obviously, you've got new players coming in for the T20 series. Some new players, not much. Hopefully, they can bring a fresh energy. But the team right now looks very, very jaded, very depleted, if I'm going to be honest. I'll look at, let's say, a Sherfa in Rutherford. Something's not right there. I don't know what it is. I look at a Gudakesh Moti. Something's also not right there because he started bowling so well for the Amazon Warriors during the CPL.
Yeah.
Obviously, before that with the West Indies, people were highlighting that he wasn't looking himself. And then he really looked back to his best, and Guyana obviously got to the finals. And then now he's back with the West Indies team. He's not looking the same again. Even the situation with Sharfin, not Sharfin, sorry, Shamar Joseph, sent home from India, a few weeks later brought back to Bangladesh, and then omitted from the squad again because he's still injured. You talk about West Indies not having funds or all of that sort of stuff. Things like this highlight why, because it's not cheap to send somebody up and down to Asia, first class, business class. Why would you send him to Bangladesh? Was it necessary for you to send him to Bangladesh? His biggest strength has been Test cricket so far. Why did they not keep him? And even if he felt better, get him to be as fit as possible in preparation for the New Zealand Test, which is going to be of extreme importance for the West Indies with the bowling attack that they could possibly have. Why risk and rush and send him back to Bangladesh? Things like that don't make sense. The batting, obviously, has been very limp, if you're going to be honest. Guys are going to have to look at themselves and be honest with themselves and ask themselves some hard questions, because these are just the facts. And, you can sing until you're blue, but ultimately the performances are down to the players. Why is it that the players are not able to replicate the performances they can have when they go and play for other teams or other franchises or in other situations, or maybe even under other coaching staffs? What is the problem? Something has to be the problem, because you look at West Indies cricket holistically, all the teams are performing badly. It's not as though it's one subsection. It's across the board, male and female teams are not winning. So is it a situation where all the cricketers in the Caribbean are bad? Or is it a situation where all the coaches in the Caribbean are bad? Is it all the facilities in the Caribbean are bad? Is it the administration is bad across the board? What is the root problem here?
I understand. I'm with you with what you're saying, and I understand, obviously, like you're saying about does it go back to that environmental internally within that environment of behind closed doors? Is you mentioned about mindset, and about when you get, you can spiral from that negative perspective. Is there too much negativity in that environment at the minute? That's making people maybe not feel that they can go and express themselves in the way that benefits the side and also benefits them. Is there some leadership, not leadership issues, but is there some management conflicts that are causing impacts that maybe feel as though the players can't go out and perform in the way, like I said, about the way they want to go and play? I'm stuck, because we've seen this group. They have got the ability to go and play. We've seen that at times. And you mentioned, obviously, the batting is something that's highlighted more so because we know the skills and the bowling attack that you've got. And obviously, I know Darren Bravo put something on social media about the batting performances, highlighting a major coaching deficiency in our system, and what are our batters going to improve under. And his point sort of goes back to the conversation we've had from a batting coach perspective. And is there any change? My point about the short term is, do you look at bringing in some short-term fixes from a consultant perspective?
Well, I've never thought that Floyd Reifer was the man for the job, if I'm going to be honest. I've never felt that Floyd Reifer would be the man for the job. What credentials does Floyd Reifer have to suggest that he should be the West Indies batting coach? Having said that, because I said this earlier, Sammy being an inexperienced head coach needs an experienced coaching staff around him,
Yeah.
you know? So why doesn't he have an Otis Gibson as his bowling coach?
Yeah.
You can think of a million names that he could have as his batting coach.
Yeah, we can over that, yeah.
And it's so interesting, thinking back to what Darren Brevin said, because West Indies have just lost two back-to-back series, or well, 2 out of 3 series, with former West Indies head coaches,
Yeah.
Phil Simmons in Bangladesh and Stuart Law in Nepal. It's crazy. You think about what Darren Bravo is saying, and that's what I was alluding to in terms of teaching these players from a young age.
Yeah.
Hiring a batting coach. I don't think that people should not think that is the answer. That is the be all end all. You can hire the best batting coach in the world. If you put him to work with the West Indies senior men's team, he's getting the end product. You need the best coaches to come in at the grassroots level and provide solid foundations to the young players coming through. So by the time they get to not even international cricket, by the time they get to under 19s and first class cricket, they're proper products, and it's just a matter of them understanding that level of cricket, which they will be able to do a lot quicker, which they'll be able to adapt to a lot quicker because they've had a better foundation. It's like education, Jordan. If somebody goes to Oxford, somebody goes to Harvard, as opposed to somebody going to Timbuktu University.
Yeah.
You know you've received a better level of education, but not only have you received a better level of education, the contacts and the resources that will become available to you because of the school that you went to is completely different.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant analogy when you break it down. But all I can keep thinking of is this short term. So the fact of the matter is that if as things stand at the minute, the West Indies won't be going to the 50 over World Cup. If West Indies continue to get beat in Test cricket, they're gonna, it's just gonna fizzle out. And naturally, like if they do come in with this 2-tiered system, then it's going to have an impact there. So all the infrastructure things that you spoke about is 100% the route I would go down. And like I mentioned before, using your expertise and your knowledge is someone who I would like to see involved with Cricket West Indies. But for the short-term perspective, they've got to figure out how to score runs. And this is across the formats because they're going, like I mentioned. Go on, I know you do.
I don't know that my knowledge would ever be utilized for a host of reasons. Mind you, I have reached out to Cricket West Indies. You know this.
I know, and you mentioned it in the comments as well, and that's why I mentioned it there.
Just for the viewers to know that, and the viewers that keep saying that I have reached out to Cricket West Indies on a number of occasions. So it's not from my end. However, let's break down the batting player by player. Brandon King is, I think, the vice captain, senior player. Just gotten a 2-year contract as well. What Brandon King is capable of and what we're seeing, there's a gulf between that.
Yeah.
Why is that happening?
Yeah.
Who is helping Brandon King? Who's talking to Brandon King?
Yeah.
Because Brandon King at his best could be some sort of a version of a hybrid of a Ramner Sawan / Marlon Samuels is what I would put him at.
And that is credited for the highest order.
Alec Athenes, I don't think he's an opening batter. I think that they keep forcing him to open the batting. He's not an opening batter. I think they should leave that alone. However, Alec Athenes has shown that he has at least the ability to get a start every single time he bats. He gets a start every single time he bats. And he gets out after getting a start every single time. He's not gone. Ali Katanes has not scored a century in professional cricket from since the year he got into the West Indies team. He scored 2 centuries in 50 over cricket and 2 centuries in 40 cricket. I think that's 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Who is helping this young man to be batting fit and understanding when to do what? They say he's a good player of spin and what's not. He likes to sweep. Sweeping, you can sweep when you're sweeping off line, or you can sweep off length. Off line obviously means when it's outside off or outside leg. So there's limited risk. Off length, that's stuff you leave to Brian Lara and those guys. I'm not even joking, John. That's stuff you leave to the geniuses. Because off length is, I don't care where you pitch it, I'm going to sweep.
Yeah.
Playing in Asia on these types of pitches, with these bowlers bowling the ball at the stump, if you're sweeping and you miss, what's going to happen if I'm bowling at the stump?
I've got a bent finger, but you're out.
And he got out LBW twice sweeping, correct?
Yeah.
Who's going to start talking to him about his options?
Yeah.
Taking safer options.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to number 3, Casey Carty. Casey struggles against spin. That's something that we've all seen. That's something that I've known. I can tell you what would upset Casey more than struggling against spin. Casey has had a very good past 18 months, exceptional past 18 months. You have failed in, let's say, what is it? 2 games, 3 games against spin. And solely off of failing against spin in 2 to 3 games, now you're being shifted around in the batting order. You're being told to, I'm sure they're going to be in his ears buzzing and telling him he needs to play this way, that way, that way. You know spin is a frailty of his. So it's not something that you're going to wake up today and start sweeping or start coming down the ground. These are things you could have been working on long before. But because a player fails 2 or 3 times, you don't then just start thinking of dropping them or shifting them around the batting order, because they're already going through a mental battle of, what am I going to do against this spin?
Yeah.
No, you don't even know when you're going to bat, where you're going to bat. So the stability, the one stabilizing factor that you had is gone. So you have to keep players as mentally fresh and happy and relaxed as possible.
Yeah.
Shea Hope, have you ever heard of Atlas, Jordan? You know who Atlas is?
No.
You've never heard of Atlas? Atlas is the man that carries the globe on his back.
Oh, right. Sorry. I thought you meant a person. But yeah. Well,
No.
as in like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Shea Hope is being asked to carry the entire West Indies on his back. And his back has to be tired because he's not the world's strongest man.
No.
You know,
so the biggest compliment that you give Shea was when there was, to me anyway, personally, was when we spoke, when I was like, wow, that not earlier in the week was fantastic. You went, but that's just Shea.
You heard him at the toss today. And the commentator said to him, such a brilliant knock in the last game. And he said, the same thing. That's just how I bat. Shea just bats responsibly. Shea wants to play shots, you know, Jordan. Shea wants to be able to go out and beat bowling from ball 1.
Yeah.
But he doesn't feel as though he can. And so he's caged. And there's going to be a breaking point at some point, you know? You can only carry the world for so long.
Yeah.
Sherfin Rutherford, we touched on earlier, looks as though something's not right. It's not. What we're seeing here is nothing to do with cricketing ability. This is all to do with mental. Something is not right. I don't know what it is. but something is clearly gone wrong.
Yeah.
And he's not gotten over the fact that whatever has happened has happened. And so those who know need to address whatever it is, because I can see that something is not right. The world can see that something is not right. I can find out, but that's not for me to find out because I'm not the one that has to fix it.
Yeah.
But who needs to fix it needs to do something about it, because this is a player that has shown that he has the ability to win you games from pretty much any situation. Young Akeem Ogis, I don't think there's much that I need to say on him because it's just he's just come in. Justin Graves has shown that he can get starts again, much like Alec Athens. I think he's batting out of position, and so it's kind of difficult to judge him because he's not really getting an opportunity to play how I think he is capable of playing in the position he's batting. And Roston needs runs urgently. He's not given me any scores of late in 50 over cricket. I'm giving pretty much 2025 as a short year. Again, because of the composition of the team, I think him probably batting a bit late as well, because Roston's not sort of a power player. But you look at the situations that he comes to bat in, more often than not, he gets a lot more time to bat than we'd expect him to, based on the situations that the West Indies get into. So he does have time to bat. Getting out, skying a full toss today shows where the mind is at. Obviously, playing all three formats, being on tour for months and months and months, losing is difficult. And that's not just for us, and that's for the entire batting unit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the T20 series. It's going to be interesting to see how that leads into the New Zealand series.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see if the struggles against spin turn into struggles against seam.
Which it could end up leading on to. You know what? When you break, that's one of the joys, obviously, of speaking with you on this podcast. Is obviously you get your knowledge and your experience, and some of these players you mentioned, obviously you share changing rooms with, and you understand their body language a lot more than a lot of people obviously watching the game as well. And when you talk about that, these are things that need to be addressed. Obviously, these are short-term fixes as well that we talk about, with changing of batting lineup and changing of addressing someone's body language and how it is, and are they actually okay, and an impact of that. And we started this podcast initially obviously talking about the third ODI and reviewing that, and naturally obviously we've led on to the batting because of how it went. And then you look at the long-term strategies that you want to see changes and what they need to put in from an infrastructure perspective. Then you look at obviously the short term, and it's constantly it's constantly becoming a talking point, the batting, and it's constantly becoming like a real dark cloud over how the West Indies team can start to win games. And I just hope that when you break everything down, that these changes and these slight adjustments that they make in the short term can really have a positive impact on that side, and start to find ways to win games of cricket. Because as I mentioned at the start, or midway when we were talking, they're going to find themselves not playing in another 50 over World Cup. And
I mean, when you look at West Indies having to go to a World Cup qualifier again, playing against, and they like to host them in Zimbabwe. Playing against Zimbabwe, Ireland, these teams, as you said, there's no room for margin in those tournaments, because I think you have to pretty much win all your games. It's not looking good. No. I think that the one thing that I can say is that the impact that Akil Hussain has had on this team in those two games. Sure. And that's what you want, like someone that, in my opinion, as I said, should have been in the team from the get-go and should probably be in contention for all formats, comes back into the team and shows why he should have been in the team from the start.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what you want, like you said, someone who comes in and puts the hand up and answers the reasons to why and says, this, you made a mistake because I should have been in it from the outside is what you want to see. And that's down to an individual, isn't it? Taking that ownership and putting their hand up and making sure that, they play. How do you see it differentiating going into the T20s?
Not much, to be honest. I mean, it's just struggle against spinning 20 overs against struggle against spinning 50 overs. If anything, it might be exacerbated because you have to try and score faster in 20 overs, which puts the risk factor up and the chances of wickets falling even higher.
Yeah. No. Well, obviously we'll look towards the T20 series in over the weekend or at some point anyway. And good to get your thoughts on it's naturally when you review an ODI and the batting has been a concern over the series, it's going to take the bulk of the conversation and the breakdown of that. And I think, like you mentioned, there's plenty of things that we have discussed. But let's see what the T20s look like. We'll look ahead to New Zealand when we discuss that as well. But yeah, it's been good to get your thoughts. Do let us know what you think to the points that Kieran made, especially from a batting standpoint, and when he broke down individual players there and what he wants to see, and some of the issues at hand. Do let us know what you think and towards that, and ultimately let us know what you think leading into the T20. Do you see much change, and how do you see the series going? But thank you so much, guys, for joining us for another episode of the PowettPlay Podcast. Thank you.